What if we could figure out how a new superfood affects your gut personally, without you ever having to take a single bite? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? Well, it's not anymore. Today, we're diving into the absolutely incredible world of miniature organs grown right in a lab and how they are completely changing the secrets of nutrition.
So, this brings up a huge question in nutrition science. How can we possibly see what food does to ourselves without just using people as guinea pigs? Well, for decades, the answer was always pretty much the same.
And that answer was the humble petri dish. For the longest time, what researchers would do is take cells, often from human colon cancer lines like CACO2, and they'd grow them in a flat, two-dimensional layer. I mean, this 2D model was a total workhorse. It gave us so many foundational insights into biology for the better part of a century. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Just look at your own hand. Think about your stomach, your intestines. Nothing about us is flat, right? Our organs are these incredibly complex, three-dimensional structures with tons of different cell types all talking to each other and working together. And that flat little layer of cells in a dish, it just can't come close to replicating that reality.
This really puts the whole problem into perspective. The old way, the 2D cultures on the left, it's kind of like trying to understand a bustling city by just looking at a single flat photograph of one street. But the new way, these 3D organoids on the right, that's like having a miniature, functioning 3D model of the entire city in your hands. They're grown from healthy stem cells, and they actually assemble themselves into these complex little structures that have the depth, the different cell types, the whole architecture of a real organ. It is a massive, massive leap forward.
So this urgent need for a better, more realistic model is what led to a genuine game-changing breakthrough: the ability to grow miniature, functioning organs right there in a dish.
The official name for these is organoids. Basically, an organoid is a tiny 3D structure grown from stem cells. And here's the most mind-blowing part. They are self-organizing. All scientists have to do is provide the right conditions, and the cells just follow their own genetic blueprint to build a structure that mimics the real thing, whether it's a mini gut, a mini brain, or a mini liver. It's incredible.
Now, this didn't just happen overnight. For years and years, scientists were really struggling with the limitations of those 2D models. Then, in 2009, everything changed. A landmark paper by a team led by Toshiro Sato showed it was actually possible. They took single stem cells from a gut, put them in a special gel, and just watched as they grew and organized themselves into these complex 3D structures. They even formed the little folds and valleys, the crypts and villi, that give our intestines all that surface area for absorbing nutrients. This was it. This was the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for.
But just making them was only the first step. To actually use these mini-guts for research, scientists had to solve this really clever biological puzzle. They had to get them to face the right way. Okay, so think of your intestine as a tube. The inside surface of that tube is what absorbs all your food, all the nutrients. When scientists first grew these mini-guts, they naturally formed these tiny, hollow spheres, but the absorbing surface was trapped on the inside. And that's a huge problem. How do you feed it if the mouth is on the inside? So in this totally brilliant move, researchers developed techniques to flip them inside out, creating what they call apical out organoids. This puts the absorbing surface on the outside, facing all the nutrients in the dish, which finally made it possible to study them properly.
So with this new ability to actually feed these mini-guts, well, the research floodgates just blew wide open. For the first time, scientists could start asking some of the most fundamental questions about nutrition at a level of detail that was just never, ever possible before. And I mean, this really shows you the sheer scope of it all. Using these intestinal organoids, we can now study exactly how we transport and metabolize nutrients. We can see how our gut secretes hormones when we eat. We can watch how our genes are expressed. We can even study the incredibly complex dance between our own cells and the trillions of microbes living inside our gut. And this isn't just theory. Look at these real-world findings. Scientists took organoids from patients with obesity and discovered their mini-guts were actually way more efficient at absorbing glucose. They've shown that mouse organoids can absorb fats and package them up just like a real gut does. And they've demonstrated that if you restrict zinc, it actually damages the organoid structure, which proves just how critical that mineral is for gut health. These are the kinds of insights we could never get from a flat layer of cells. So where does this incredible technology go from here? Well, while it's unbelievably powerful, it's not quite perfect. At least, not yet.
Yeah, it's important to be realistic here. A mini gut in a dish is, well, it's still just a gut. It doesn't have an immune system attached, or blood vessels, or nerves. The whole process is still pretty expensive and requires a ton of expertise. Plus, the gels they grow in can sometimes introduce inconsistencies. So, while it's an amazing model of the gut, it's not a perfect replica of a full human organ system. Yet.
But the future? Oh, the future is where this gets really exciting. People are already working on organ-on-a-chip technology, where you could connect a mini gut to a mini liver to study metabolism across whole systems. But the biggest promise is in personalized medicine. Imagine growing a patient's own organoids to test which drug works best for them, or to design a nutrition plan that is tailored specifically to their unique biology. Which really brings us back to that final thought. What started out as a better way to model biology in a lab is quickly hurtling toward a future where a literal mini you could guide your most personal health decisions. It's this profound shift in medicine, moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to something that is uniquely, truly personal. And it all starts with these incredible little mini organs in a dish.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos on organoid and biology. Please subscribe.